Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing okay. How about you?
I'm so glad to be on to have a chat. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
Really good, yeah. I think I
Um,
need to get out more, Jamie.
real why?
I'm not going out. When I do, you can't take me anywhere when I do go out. Yeah. It's
I
hard to find people to talk to these days.
Wow, that is true. It's very odd, I don't like talking about work stuff too much because it's but me and my boss, we work at a cafe right by a liberal college, and it's full of social justice warriors. And it's like we have to like whisper things to one another or make sure no one's around, and just I mean some of the workers at the college even come in and are like, can you believe they want to bring in Syrian refugees to this area? And it's like, it's very funny how like people can't. The winning side of things cannot voice their opinions about things, or you might be, called a racist.
Well, see, I'm the other way around. Like, I've got no one to talk to, like, just absolutely no one. And when I do talk, because you just inevitably do, it always lands me in big trouble.
Yeah,
And then when people, eventually a lot of people do, I guess, come around, but the damage is already done, isn't it, by the time they've come around? So
yeah.
what's up with you?
It's nothing much. I did kind of pull up a few articles, so we would have some things to talk about because I had a few things I'd wanted to cover during the week. So we
Yeah,
could.
I've got a few questions for you.
Okay.
Yes. I don't think we've ever really had a chat before, have we?
No, as far as personal stuff, no. We've always generally
No.
talked about issues. So that's
Yeah, and
why.
I think what's weird about it is when I listen back to shows, it's like we do script it and work together, but we don't. We just seem to be going down exactly the same path. I think it's extraordinary how we both end up on exactly the same talking points. We
Yeah.
pick up this really broad subject, and we both seem to end up going down exactly the same roads.
Yep.
So
Yeah, yeah.
it's
It's.
really
I
good
mean, it's
therapy for
very.
me because all I hear all day is, Paul, you're crazy. You read too much. None of this is going on. Like, you are the only person I know where
Yeah.
I can have a chat, and I'm not like
Well, I
it
hate.
goes beyond you're crazy.
I hate it that I mean the only people I really have that with are is like my family, and it's very aggravating for me where it's like to some extent. I mean, granted, I think I finally got it, so I might be able to get the money from YouTube. But realistically, I'm receiving monetary compensation for putting out certain amounts of knowledge that I research or opinions or whatever, but I'm never looked at with any sort of authority. So, like, my mom will say something about, like, the 1%. Like, here's the thing that happened the other day. I go to her and I'm like, the Democrats are going to lose all the elections because all they have is attack, 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 attack. They just pick people to attack, and they're not offering anything positive. They're just attacking people. And my mom says, who are they attacking? They're not attacking anyone. Donald Trump's a bully, who's being attacked? And I said, well, the 1%, people with money. And she goes, well, they should be going after the 1%. So isn't it, it's funny how first the attack is denied, and then it's, well, we're right in who we go after. And then I tell her what I saw on the CNN debate where Bernie Sanders is talking to a small business owner who's like, I could expand, I could
Well,
open
with the
up.
health insurance
Yeah, yeah,
that
I
you,
could open up a
yeah.
few more shops, but I can't afford this, and if I were to open up, I'd have to give them insurance, and it would just put me out of business completely. And his response is basically, well, then you should go out of business completely. Like,
Yeah,
she,
which isn't what happens because as you know that they'll basically give certain companies waivers.
yeah. Oh, well, yeah, top companies like McDonald's and stuff like that, but I mean, that woman's not getting a waiver.
No.
She'll end up going out of business. So I told my mom, I said, you don't realize the 1% technically starts at making like 200,000 a year. Like a doctor married to a lawyer would be in the 1%. Like there's working class families that that are in the 1%. Now, what should be troubling about that is that there's sort of that big a divide between, you could not be making much and already seemingly be at the top of the thing. That means there must be a lot of people making next to nothing. But you don't know who you're attacking. And I tried to give her the data. I'm like, here's the economist
Well, the
saying it.
people you're
Here's this
attacking
person.
are the people that are actually creating the jobs. And I think it might just
Yeah,
be like a linguistic problem when your mum might really mean not the 1%, but the 1% of that
yeah.
1%.
Well, and that's what I tried to tell her, but she refused to admit that the 1% started at a couple $100,000. And
Yeah,
I think it's just
I
because
think the
of
1% starts at about $250,000, but
yeah,
then the
yeah, it
1%
does.
of the 1% of that, you're into like the billions.
Yeah, well, here's the reason why though. I think when you're talking to an older person, my mom was a social worker, so she worked for the system. And I think then you'd start to realize, like, oh, everything you've advocated for, where you thought you were saying, we're going to get the money from these rich people, you've really then been targeting the middle class. And so it's like, I think there's almost
Well, it's the complete foundations of America. The whole point of America was that you were supposed to be able to get to the 1%. And when you do, you're going to get a house built, like a really nice house. You're going to need builders for that. You're then going to get a swimming pool. That swimming pool needs someone to build it. So the
yeah,
fact that people become rich creates that
jobs.
job, the jobs.
Well, and the other thing these people don't seem to understand is, you
But
don't.
now that, sorry to butt in, but that 1% don't want to do it now for exactly the reasons that you're saying, that in order to get to the 1%, you can't do it because just to get past the regulations, you're going to need a legal team. Like you said with
Yeah,
Obamacare, you're going to have to pay Obamacare, but the really big 1% of the 1% corporations, they're going to get the waivers.
yeah,
So
yeah,
they do it to basically starve out business. It's to starve out mum and pop stores. So
yeah.
they don't want to take the risk. And it's the same with just being sued and having liability, having to employ people and the employees have rights. It's just an absolute mess.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
maybe it's just a linguistic problem. So when you're saying 1% and then she just means like the 1%, the 1%, and
Yeah, I think that's what she thinks she means, but I think she just is reluctant to admit it because, again, if you voted Democrat for 60 some odd years, then, I think there's a issue of feeling complicit, like, and realizing you were under the impression that this was doing one thing when it was really doing another. Um, But Bernie Sanders, I mean, he just didn't seem to care. I mean, and that's the crazy thing. Like that footage was so damning because it really shows that, the middle class will be collateral damage for this. And it's just going to enshrine, like you said, the mega corporations that can get exempt waivers.
I think in UK we're seeing it work though because inevitably people do want free stuff.
Yeah.
And there's more people that want free stuff than people that need free stuff or want the free stuff. And I think that's the problem. Is you're seeing these massive numbers of people just want something for nothing now. This like millennial generation, and eventually they're going to outnumber the people that actually worked for it.
Yeah, this millennial generation is very entitled. Entitlement is something I keep a theme I keep sort of kind of seeing. Like I just saw an article Steven Crowder had up about I guess you had a sort of protest day for illegal immigrants or whatever, and there was one company where like 10 of the people all protested on this day and didn't show up for work, so the boss fired them all. And they were
Well, we should have gone one further and tried to get them deported because they're blatantly illegals, aren't
well,
they?
and the crazy thing is, though, is these people complained, and they were like, he didn't even give us an opportunity to explain why we weren't there, and this, and that. And it's like, you're complaining you weren't given an opportunity. Your opportunity was the job. Like,
Yeah, the contract's a contract. When you sign a contract, your word is your word, and your word is that you're going to do that. Like, I'm really strict on that. There's loads of jobs I don't agree with, but once you sign that contract,
it's just so
you can't just
crazy.
go on strike because you don't like
People
it.
think that this sort of well-meaning, good-intentioned whatever is supposed to override any and everything.
Well, when you signed the contract with your boss, you didn't have a contract saying that you could strike, did you?
No, probably not, unless
So
if
to
it's
me, it's
like
just
a...
dishonest. I'd feel dishonest doing it.
I mean, if they're working illegally, I'd assume there might be no contract whatsoever.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, guess that's a different. Yeah, maybe. Well, the thing that's been on my agenda is Brexit. I'll just do it quickly. I might need help articulating this. But I think Brexit, I sound like such a crazy guy, is kind of like an inside job now.
How so?
And what I mean by that is, when they went to the House of Parliament and that woman did that document to say that Brexit wasn't legal, and then we had to have to vote in Commons.
Yeah.
I've actually started reading it. It's 92 pages and it's quite complex. But in a nutshell, I didn't know this, but there's two treaties. There's a treaty with a small t and a treaty with a big T. And the European Union is basically a treaty with a big T, and it's got different rules. So if you're in a treaty, you know what a treaty is? It'd be like the UK doing a deal with America. That would be a treaty with just a small t. So England can just go, right, I've had enough of this, get out of it. But because the EU is so collective and so big, and it's actually in Brussels, it becomes a capital T because we don't necessarily have the right to get out of that treaty. So I think what's going to happen is we're going to end up having to write a new constitution. We're going to have a new parliament, basically, completely new law system. And when I start going through the papers, what you can do in England now, what they do, if you get caught doing a crime, you can just go online. If you want to plead guilty, just go online, plead guilty, and it will just come up with a fine for you. You can just pay the fine on your credit card and you're done.
Yeah.
So his idea is to speed up the court systems. So what we're seeing is that I think a lot of people are now not going to have access to justice. And I think this is kind of like the rollout. So let's say you got caught shoplifting or you beat someone up. Instead of going to court, they're going to encourage you just to plead guilty and pay a fine. So we're kind of getting away with the justice system. And I think it's going to be this new justice system where you're not basically going to have any access to it unless you pay a lot of money. And that's what's going to be the new England.
Well, certain things like, you could sort of say the 21st century spy state was rolled out in England before it came to the US and everything like that.
Well, it's kind of similar to the US situation during 1776 when they got rid of the British. You had to give the British some credit here. They did a lot for America and made it great.
Yeah.
But then obviously the corruption came in. And then America had to get rid of all these great laws and rules and bring in a constitution, which in itself was a new law and gave the government more power than what they actually had when the British were probably in. And that's what kind of worries me. And the other thing why I think it's an inside job lastly is because everyone's moved, I don't know if you know, but everyone's had to move out the House of Parliament. It's empty. And it's going to be empty for 2 years. And they're in two different buildings now, whilst they refurbish the House of Parliament. It's going to be this massive 2-year operation. And then when they all go back in, it's going to be just in time for when we've finished our Brexit negotiations. So it's weird how government plan to move out of Parliament at the same time, get these new offices just temporary whilst they actually reconstruct Westminster.
Yeah. That is odd.
It's weird timing, isn't it?
Well, and I'm wondering more about the two buildings they have everyone in. Like, it makes me wonder.
Yeah, I can remember what they are.
Are they wiretapped? Are they going to be, I would think there's something
basically you're right.
Them.
They're basically right next. They're building. They've got one of them are basically next to the new Scotland Yard.
Uh-huh.
So I think they might be using the old Scotland Yard. And the other one is the Queen's got some exhibition room near Covent Garden, I think. It's quite a luxurious building. And then the other half are going to go in there. And what the government, they've got Google next to MI5 now, the new Google building. And it's basically just got pyramids all over it. It looks like a sort of space alien massive building, all these pyramids around it. And it's right next door to the new Scotland Yard and stuff, right next door. So yeah, we are getting it. Yeah, I think England's in a worry and stuff. I think maybe Brexit could be an inside job we're all falling for. And we're going to end up in a bigger police state.
Well, it's funny. It's funny, I saw someone talking online the other day. They were kind of bashing Trump and being like, Trump is saying he's going to bring coal back and he's going to bring this back. And, innovation ends these technologies and this, and that. And I told the person, I said, I agree with your overall statement about innovation, but a lot of this stuff has been put out because of regulation, not innovation, especially in terms of coal. I said, and if you want to see innovation, you should check out the military tech shows on YouTube. Like, you're talking invisible cloaking technology. Like, if you see it in the movies, chances are they already have it and it's old. Like, the CIA had the internet in the 60s. Everything is, consolidated under DARPA and then rolled out at a specific time. And I think we're getting to a point where, the sort of futuristic updates, there's a show on, actually, APB or something. It's like the Chicago. Chicago is a crime-ridden city. They have this show where some billionaire comes into the Chicago police force and gives them a whole bunch of drones and all sorts of, futuristic technology to fight crime.
Is he called Bruce Wayne?
Basically, yeah, basically. It's Bruce Wayne who likes to share his gadgets, and I think it's just because they're going to start rolling this stuff out. I'd seen articles last year about MI5,
yeah, well, Alex Jones really
MIT.
went into that.
Yeah, MIT
Alex Jones was saying that when you become president, you get to see the secret files, you get to see the secret technology, and Trump is disgusted by it. He knows that this is starving other people and it needs to be released. You're going to see innovation when he releases all the secret patents, folks. There's cures for cancer, folks, and Trump knows it.
Yeah. I did remember.
I don't know if Alex Jones is going too far, but I'm in the Alex Jones cult. Anything Alex Jones says, I think is true. I'm done trying to debunk Alex Jones because I always look like an idiot whenever I tried.
I think he is right about that stuff. I mean, because there's two ways to spin it. There's the way I saw a thing where MIT or one of them had these giant like robot police officer things, and it's like they could be deployed. We don't want to see a police state. But you have these leftist protesters and stuff, and eventually police aren't going to want to deal with it, and they're just going to send out robots. And
they've already done that.
And the police will just man them from a station, and they just...
They have done that when you had the Black Lives Matter shooting. They put in RoboCop and blew up
that
guy, apparently.
Yeah. You're going to see more and more of it.
The other thing that I wanted to talk to you, like completely changing the subject, have you ever gone on YouTube and watched these videos of people doing spirit boxes?
Spirit boxes? No.
Mate, it's really creeping me out. Go onto YouTube and type... So spirit boxes, they make these boxes with like scanners and stuff. Then they contact spirits, and then spirits can talk to them through the transmitter. Do you get me?
Yeah, I just Googled it.
And then they just leave them on all day, and then they just start contacting spirits all day, and you can just hear them talking. And there's one guy that does it who's really good at it. And I'm like, what? I don't even want to watch it. It scares me. I don't know if it's just... Is it a hoax, or is that... You can buy them as well.
Yeah. They say it's something used to talking to ghosts and all sorts of stuff.
Have you never seen it before?
I don't think I've seen it put forth like some of these ones are, where it's done in sort of a, I mean, some of them, if I'm looking at the right thing, they look sort of like new agey, like as if they're trying to make it like warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, it seems to work.
Well, I mean,
I can't explain how he's doing that, and yes, he is just joking around, but I don't know, it looks like he is doing it. He does it with celebrities as well, like he'll play the music, and then when you hear the music back in the transmitter, you can hear the artist talking, it sounds just like the artist. It's like, how did he do that?
I know, I mean, there is things where people, say, we only see and interact with certain sections of visible light and things like that. So I do think there are other things out there, and I think there are ways to kind of tap into it.
Do you want to pick the most popular
do
YouTube
it.
video? Right, pick up the most popular YouTube video for Spirit Box. See what comes up and just watch it and see if you call it. Is this a hoax? It seems to be a massive craze. Like there's a massive, so many people are into it.
Yeah. I mean, I see some of this ghost box recordings, messages from Robin Williams.
Messages come in that are impossible to be radio. I collect EVP without a boxer device, voices out of thin air.
Do you want to watch a couple?
I got one going now.
Robin.
I can't say if you watch a good one. I mean, you just got some of them. I'll send you a link to a guy who's quite good at it.
Yeah, these are a little...
I'm looking for Robin Williams.
That's creepy.
So it's not just me smoking too much weed. That is creepy.
Yeah. It sounded like Robin Williams.
Folks, like if I watch Darren Brown, I can debunk him in under 90 seconds. Like I'm good at. I know a lot about magic and misdirection. But why are so many people doing it?
I don't know.
Getting these kind of results. Would you do it? Do you want to buy one? If I send one to your house, do you want to?
My house is already haunted, so I don't.
No, I don't want to do it. I'll buy it for you.
That shit would probably be going wild in here.
But you have to do it on YouTube Live every evening for a week, a couple of weeks.
Out of bed because
you up for it?
Something kept telling me.
Hold on, I got
out
another
of
one.
Bed because
playing.
Something kept
it's
telling
creepy,
me.
Isn't it?
Hello?
Someone does Prince pretty well. And that's the most
Who's
popular
here?
guy. But then a lot of people just rip him off. I think they should have rip him off. Do you want me to try and find you one quick? The one that really freaks me out. Fuck.
Can you hear me?
I don't even want to watch it.
I mean, that shit's bugged out. It reminds me of some of the shit you would hear in the beginning of Marilyn Manson songs on like Antichrist Superstar. There's a lot of stuff like that. You know the song The Beautiful People, where he's saying the beautiful people, if you play that back...
Yeah, go on this YouTube channel. It's called Huff, Huff, Paranormal. Check. That's the guy you want to check. He is the god of it.
But I was saying if you play Beautiful People backwards, he's saying, I'm evil, believe it, over and over and over and over. Huff Paranormal.
Jamie, I'm just going to send you one, just one.
Uh-huh.
Hopefully that's the right video. Hopefully it's not porn.
Cemetery session with a mini portal and cleansing my home. Group session night.
Yeah, check this guy out. Go on his YouTube channel. But that's a good video he did. You only need to watch that guy because he's got it nailed.
Those guys are in deep.
Have you not seen it before?
No.
Imagine what the OTO must be up to in Philemites. They've got that kind of stuff.
Hold on, give it 2 minutes, I got the video playing.
Right.
Has Prince crossed over? Something about the light? Who wants to come through?
It's got to be a hoax, hasn't it?
You know, I really wonder how this all works, like, on a technical sense, because a lot of artists do encode messages into their art. So I don't know if
Yeah, but when you start that's true. But when you start watching his YouTube channel, he can do it just by leaving him on and just talking in his kitchen.
Yeah.
He doesn't always use the music. I think the music is a way, because when you read Crowley, to get the, like, if I wanted Hendrix to come visit me, I'd get stuff that Hendrix might like. So you'd want like a white Fender Strat for him, maybe a Marshall amp, and leave it plugged in and on so he can get some vibrations. You know he liked his weed, so you might want him to smoke weed to enhance the smell, you know, and fight that spirit in. So I think maybe the music is that kind of ritual aspect so you know, there could be millions of spirits out there, so you particularly want to attract that one.
Yeah.
Over. So it's kind of like saying, hey Hendrix, this is definitely you, you know. You want to make it as obvious as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to watch more of these. This is
inject heroin.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mentioned it to you before, I think, when I was waffling. And yeah, I don't even want to. You know where I'm going with this already, don't you?
I mean, tying it into the spirit cooking stuff, maybe?
Well,
I don't know.
I mean,
Real
I've basically
spirit
opened Pandora's
communication,
box
yeah.
now, haven't I? I've opened Pandora's box, mate, is what I'm
Hear
saying.
the voices of the dead. Yeah,
Yep.
Well, it almost makes me wonder if these people, you know, when
You still haven't got where I'm going with this yet.
well, you know, I was going to say on election day, the woman came into my job talking about she knows someone who's like a spiritual guru that Hillary kept around her, drugged and raped and things like that. It really makes me wonder, like, if people like this guy are like hired by the Democrats, like Marina Abramovich, and they just sort of get all super creepy. Like, could you imagine setting up one of these things in like John Podesta's house? You'd probably just hear
I don't want to
screaming.
sound like I've got a big head, but everyone should do this. It's like learn deceit. Like, you can buy books from old FBI people, like how they interview people, what cues to look for when people are lying and when they're misguiding you. That guy is telling you what's going on. If that makes sense, he's got no sign of deception. If he is, he's a really, really, not only he's a really, he's one of the best actors going, like his Brad Pitt level acting. He should be in Hollywood because he has no, everything he's saying he believes is true.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it is true, but he believes it's true. I'm pretty convinced by that guy that he is telling you what he really thinks is true. Whether it is, and that's why you haven't quite got where I'm going with this. Now I've opened Pandora's box. I mean, there's only one way to find out, isn't there?
I suppose, to get one and hook it up.
Yeah, I think we should both get one, do some YouTube videos, but I think you should go first.
I'll have to look into that. I like the one I see in the video where you can just sort of plug things right into it.
Yeah, they're about $100, $150 for a really good one.
I mean, I do think it is possible.
Are you telling me you can contact demons with a CB radio, JamieStarr?
Maybe. It very much fits with, you know, ideas of how the world operates that people sort of have had, whether it be Tesla or others. You know,
That's why I start shitting my pants.
Tesla, for example, thought he was getting a lot of his ideas from fucking turning on weird radios to frequencies and thinking he was communicating with different entities and stuff. A lot of people don't know that about him for some reason. They know the name now and Tesla coils, but they don't know that he was getting his information from, you know, supernatural sources, so to speak.
Michael Jackson said it as well in an interview. He said, oh, how do you write these great songs? And he goes, well, I don't write the songs. This woman, she comes, and the woman had a name and everything. She goes, she comes inside me and she makes me dance and she makes me perform.
Yep.
He said, Prince had alter egos as well that used to enter him, like female ones that used to do that. I mean, that's what your name is, JamieStarr. It's one of Prince's alter egos. One of them.
Yep.
And to him, he seems to Madonna used to talk about it quite a bit.
And Beyonce with Sasha Fierce and all of that, you know, she's been out there saying that. Even Lady Gaga has said that Gaga is an alter ego that takes
Have you
over.
watched the Devil's Knot film yet?
I don't think so.
Yeah, you need to. It's about the Memphis 3 when they did the Hollywood version of the Memphis 3.
Uh-huh.
The opening scene is the lawyer who defends Damien Eccles. He hears about the story, looks at a picture of that black guitarist who sold his soul to the devil, and he just gets them off just because he goes, the 3 kids are dead, there's no point killing enough of 3 kids. And to me, it kind of think, do you get where I'm going with that? That's the opening scene of that's why I wanted you to watch it, the Devil's Knot film.
Uh-huh.
To me, that was like such... Did I explain that well, how the film starts?
Yeah.
This lawyer's in his office, and he's got a room. Who's the guitarist? That black guitarist who sold his soul to the devil, that really famous one.
I forget his name, at Crossroads, and
yeah. There's a picture of him in his office. And he hears about the murder, and Damien Eccles has been arrested with 3 other kids, and they're going to be executed. And he goes, we're not going to have 6 kids dead. And then looks at the picture. And it's just like, that is weird. Because normally if you're a lawyer, you'd get involved because you thought they were innocent.
Yeah.
Not because you don't agree with the death penalty, or... It was just weird. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah, I'll have to download that. I just checked my hard drive to see if I have it, and I don't.
We should start doing film reviews.
You know, I've been thinking that. I saw Amazing Atheist, as much as I don't like him and one of the other drunken peasants, like, did a thing where they streamed Ghostbusters and did commentary through it and other movies.
Yeah, can we do that? Can we do, I'll pick 3 films, you pick 3 films, and then we'll do a YouTube video on each film.
Yeah, we can do that.
And we won't do it beforehand. You just come up with what you think about the film. I'll come up with what I think about the film. See, that would be fucking good. So you pick 3 films, I'll pick 3 films. Be good.
Yep.
And then I'll learn something from your 3 films, and hopefully you'll learn something from my 3.
Let's try to pick something good that you haven't seen then.
Yeah. Well, I've already given one of mine away. Got that one.
This guy's got all sorts of stuff where he's like...
Yeah, it's creepy, isn't it?
Faces in a pot of water, and yeah.
Can you see why I don't leave the house anymore?
Yeah.
Like, I'm so scared.
Weird shit.
Found some other weird shit as well.
I mean, I just keep thinking that, like, this is the shit that's been going on in the White House and stuff. No wonder why Trump didn't want to move in there at first. That would have been sending in priests every day to try to cleanse the place.
Yeah, I'd be moving out. Yeah, you were talking about the technology stuff and how if you see it in films, it's 30 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
When I was reading about MK Ultra, it came from obviously from the Holocaust and like the German experiments they were doing.
Yeah.
You can download some of the experiments they were doing in Nazi Germany, and this is like 1935. Stop me if you get lost. But what they were talking about, and they said they'd done it, so it's not as if they were talking about doing it, it's like they were doing this. They would get a victim and inject him, and what the injection would have is basically like a nano microchip in it. And it would go into the bloodstream, and somehow it would know, the bloodstream would just direct it to the right part of the brain. It would know which part of the brain to get there. It would go straight there, and that would implant the microchip. And what it did is something you'd be quite familiar with. It's electric low frequency. So if it hit like a certain part of the brain, they could turn that bit of the brain off, like your emotions or, your resistance and stuff like that. That's 1935. If you put that into Google, you can actually get the PDF files and read about it. Like if you typed in Nazi electric low frequency brain, transmitter, it's on Google. That's 1935. And you're seeing in the news now that they want to microchip babies. Oh, let's microchip your baby. If they're talking about it, they've been doing that since the 80s.
Yeah.
And if Hitler was doing that kind of crap in 1935...
Well, I mean,
Because you think about it, it's not that complicated what they're saying. I know I'm not doing justice explaining what it is, but that's not... doesn't sound that difficult.
Even with cloning, when you have scientists talk about cloning and how they do it nowadays, they're just like, oh, well, the problem was it was simpler than any of us ever thought. That's why it took us so long to figure it out. Like, because it was simpler, not more complicated. That's one of the things, that I think when people learn about Tesla stuff, they start to realize is it's like, if you're taught a whole foundational view of the world and how things operate, you're going to sort of create that reality, as opposed to if you saw everything a whole different way, there might be other things, like the Tesla coils, the idea that electricity is sort of just free running in the atmosphere and we can tap into it, and these sound frequencies, radio frequencies, and things like that. There are things around us that you can't see. We know that. The Wi-Fi. I've heard that there was that professor, that Asian professor out in California. He was talking about the smart cities out there that you've had, like some of these top Democrat operatives overseeing. They're these super smart cities that have all sorts of, Wi-Fi, ELF frequencies, and all sorts of shit beaming through them. And it's why he thinks they're a hotbed for, like, these protests and rioters, because the people are just off the chain.
So what initially first woke you, like, when people say, oh, I woke up, how did it happen for you? And when?
Let's see. I don't know. I think I was always generally very skeptical about things. Like, I had a high school teacher who was a former Black Panther, and, he sort of put the idea in my head that the government on 9/11 wouldn't care at all about taking out 2,000 of its own people to go to war and everything like that. Like, he sort of knew off the bat there was something shady about it. And then I saw the movie Zeitgeist a few years afterwards, and I think that's what really got the ball rolling. But I think my mindset was always at a place where, like, I never rejected information the way I see some liberals do. I guess I always was kind of a classical liberal as opposed to, like, social justice warrior liberal. But I would say, having that foundation, and then when I saw Zeitgeist, that really got me open to, the monetary system being fucked up, and just how many layers there are to globalism and the sort of, conspiracy sides of it. Which I have to say, it's really funny. I keep seeing now how the Democratic Party has taken on this sort of complete shift where now there's like a New York Post article about how now they're the party of conspiracy theories. And it's funny how they always had this sort of stereotype of conservatives, being like, yeah, America, fuck you. And yet I've seen Bill Maher on his show when both Piers Morgan and Milo were on there. They were basically told, fuck you, and everyone, and all of these leftists were like, yeah, fuck you, that's our intelligent argument. And I mean, even the other night with Milo, one guy was like, are you even American? And Milo's like, no, and he's like, well then fuck off. So it's like them being like, America, fuck you. Like, now they've become every negative stereotype they ever thought true of conservatives. It's really funny. One article I had up, because I think this one's funny too, that I'll get into. Did you see the cover girl model who was under fire for making a quote-unquote racist Ebola joke?
No.
And here's the funny part, though. Cover girl was praised because this model is a boy. It's a boy who likes to wear makeup. So they have this guy as a cover girl's first male spokesmodel, and was hailed, as a figurehead of diversity and beauty. And now people are threatening to boycott the brand because he tweeted out, I can't believe we're going to Africa today. Oh my God, what if we get Ebola? James, we're fine. We could have gotten it at Chipotle last year. So he's just making a joke. And I mean, the crazy thing is, Ebola is a problem in Africa. So it's like, acknowledging reality is a problem with these people, where you see people saying, I'm sorry, but that tweet from James Charles was very ignorant, contributing to a stigma that African people are diseased. Not only that, but you authentically have fans who have lost members due to the outbreak of Ebola. Instead of listening to your fans from Africa, you have sass and block them immediately. I know you're 17, but you have to grow up. Sorry, people didn't find it funny that the only thing people associate with Africa is a deadly disease. And, it's so... We all know the typical leftist response to all this stuff. No one claimed that that's all Africa is known for. There is a active Ebola outbreak in West Africa. It sort of reminds me of the idea, and CoverGirl, of course, apologized and said his views don't represent theirs. But it reminds me of their idea that, like, we can stop racism if no one uses the N-word, or, stop homophobia if no one calls anyone a fag. It's like, Ebola isn't going to disappear if we just don't acknowledge it. Like, sorry. Not how things work.
I'm going to throw a curveball, your massive one.
What is that?
Ready for this? What's the most far out conspiracy that you think you go along with?
That I go along with?
Yeah, something that you think is definitely going on. What's going on, Jamie, do you think?
I defend a lot the flat Earth conspiracy. I don't know if
I was going to get on to this.
I don't know if I buy into it. I feel like...
Can I quickly make a point on the flat Earth?
Yeah, sure.
I used to work in a really posh office, and this woman came in, and she's quite intelligent. And she goes, like, I went dancing, and this guy came in, and this guy's really intelligent. Like, he's a doctor, he's got a car, he's got a house. He was telling me the Earth is flat. What an idiot. What an idiot. And to be honest, I was one of those people as well. But then I thought to myself, the problem is really simple. If you tell me the flat Earth's, what it's got to is there used to be a point where asking questions and was science. As in, that is basically science. You ask a question, you try and prove it. Yeah. All the other side's got is you're stupid, you're dumb. And the problem is I had to admit to myself I couldn't tell you why the Earth is round.
Yeah.
Because I don't have any scientific method myself, and I have to do so much research just to look at any principles. It is actually so much. This is why the debates got so out of hand, because people are just going to go, "You're stupid, you're stupid, you're stupid."
Yeah.
I was one of those people, but that's not an argument. I can't really give you an argument to say, well, that's why it's round.
Yeah, and I mean that's and then
it's got to a point where that should be a gentleman discussion, a proper one. You should start riffing with each other and throwing ideas at each other.
And I agree with that.
But what ridicule on both sides.
That's why I defend
back in the day,
because I get
we'd sit down with a beer and would have to talk about it.
Yeah, and I think that, because I've seen even people I respect, and they just go, flat Earth, they're a bunch of paid shills, and this, and that. And it's like, you have taken it so far on both sides now, where, like you said, both of them are just calling the other one stupid, and there's no dialogue going on. And like you said, I came to a point where, I just looked at it, and I'm like, well, I don't know personally. I'm just taking everyone's word that it's one way or the other. Like, yeah, NASA, they're shady as fuck. Like, I mean, and here's the funniest thing I've seen. I have a friend of mine who I think helped wake me up to some things when I would see him post certain stuff, but he's one of these people that ridicules flat earthers. And I saw someone comment on his thing saying, because this guy is a fan of David Icke's, and he's like, you believe in shape-shifting lizards, but you're ridiculing people who think the Earth could be flat. How does this make any sense? And his response was, well, ancient cultures have talked about the shape-shifting lizards all through time. And the person's rebuttal was great. Yeah, a lot of those same ancient cultures believed the Earth was flat. So, why is the one so different than the other? Like you said, I think it should be debated. I think that's, I think the flat Earth, it wouldn't have even gained this much traction if there weren't so many things they could put forth and be like, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? I mean, again, NASA's shady. And we know things are hidden from us as far as, space operations
let's say, right,
and shit like
that. I hate
to
put you on the spot. Right, let's say, heaven forbid, right, this is just like an allegory. You go out tomorrow, right?
Huh?
You get robbed. You go out tomorrow, right, and you get robbed, and a fucker shoots you in the head and you're dead. And then you go on to the next life, and you're in the waiting room, right? And a guy comes up to you and he goes, right, Jamie, it's 2 doors. The whole point of life is the Earth flat or round? And you've got to hedge your bet. One's hell and one's... If you get it right, you go to heaven. If you get it wrong, you go into hell. You've got to hedge your bet. Is the Earth flat or round? What are you hedging your bet on?
I honestly would have...
Are you just going to stay in the waiting room?
No, and I think I wanted to make this point. I think part of the reason a lot of these people hate the Flat Earth conspiracy so much is because it's referenced in the Bible, and there's a biblical argument to be made about the 4 corners of the Earth and the dome over us and all of that. And I think based on that, if it were a matter of going to heaven, I would go with what was put forth in the Bible. So I would go in the flat earth door.
I'd shit my pants.
I mean, but if I was put into a scientific situation where it was, the heads of Harvard asking me, I'd of course go to the flat or the round door. If it was NASA or Harvard or an official institute.
Mate, I'm going to be in that waiting room for a long time.
I just, the other things that are funny is the things people point to about the flight patterns and how some of them don't really make sense if we're on a globe. And traveling to Antarctica is mad shady. See, that's what I like about the Flat Earth theory, is it contains these other bits that even if you don't think the shape of the Earth is flat or round, you should be interested in Antarctica. Why is Antarctica so sketchy? Like, there's so much in it that, and there are a lot of anomalies that with the round Earth, it just doesn't seem to work out right. Why are these happening? So, I don't know.
Have you ever seen the TED Talk where they've got, I don't really know much about it, but where it's like the first ever computer, it's like three disks that are put together. One follows the rotation of the Earth, the other one like follows how the stars rotate, and the other one I'm not sure what that follows rotates. And you can predict what time countries will be in. You can predict, where stars will be. And have you seen that?
No.
Type it in, see if you can find it. Just type it on like first computer flat Earth. It's like these three disks that are put together, and it like makes a compass. So you can follow either stars, or it'll tell you what the time is, where the sun is around the world. So like one disk would represent the world, the other disk would like represent like where the sun is, where the stars are, and the other one would be like just time, like what time it is there and stuff like that. So you can go, oh, it's January, it's Tuesday, 9 p.m. in Japan, and it's sunny, and tonight it will have this star over it. It's called it's like the first ever computer. There's a TED Talk on it.
I'm trying to
That really, that's weird.
Well, and we did have like sundials and things like that.
Do you want me to try and find it?
Yeah, if you can.
Yeah, you're talking to a dumb. Let me see if I can find it. I don't really know what I'm talking about.
But I mean, I don't doubt it. It sounds like, similar to a sundial. First computer ever made, maybe? Did you see the girl at the Grammys? I got this article up too. Joy Villa, the girl who wore the Trump dress.
Scientists has finally unlocked the secrets of an ancient Greek computer made 2,000 years ago. It's taken...
I did find a news article or clip about it. Scientists finally demystified the incredible workings of a 2,000-year-old astronomical calculator built by ancient Greeks. A new analysis of the, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, mechanism, a clock-like machine consisting of more than 30 precise hand-cut bronze gears, showed to be more advanced than previously thought, so much that nothing comparable was built for another 1,000 years. This device is extremely extraordinary, the only thing of its kind, said study lead Mike Edmonds of Cardiff University in the UK. The design is beautiful, the astronomy is exactly right. In the terms of historical and sacred value, I have to regard this mechanism as being more valuable than the Mona Lisa.
Shall I tell you what sad thing I've been trying to start doing today?
What is that?
Do you remember that in Pizzagate had that photo of John Podesta with the fish and the 14?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, have you ever seen where people, it's basically the Kabbalah, I guess, where what they do is they use the Hebrew words, they have numbers, and all the numbers always add up to the
Gematria.
same. Yeah, do you know much about that?
I mean, I know what it is, but I never really, tried breaking things down into it.
Yeah, do you want me to do it? Try and do that for next week?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'll give it a go. Yeah, that's why my head's completely
I
warped
think
at the moment.
that's kind of, how I was saying, if you sort of decode reality through a certain way and see things a certain way, everything will be that. I think that's also another one of those ways where some people see the world. There's this guy on a YouTube, Mr. Cat Eye or something like that. Or Catty, it's C-A-T-I, Mr. C-A-T-I. But he does a lot of stuff where he breaks them down in gematria. A lot of it's
I
really
found a
interesting.
really good one. It's called, I think, Marty Leeds 33 on YouTube. It's really, really good. So all of my stuff will be just copying that bloke.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's completely blown my mind.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. I was actually watching the show Green Arrow, and there was a part where like aliens invaded and they had this big crossover thing, and when they like hacked an alien spaceship, they thought they just got back, numbers that didn't make any sense, and then the one guy who I guess was the Jewish kid in the room was like, "Oh, that's gematria." And that was the sort of key to them figuring everything out.
What do you think about Ike saying that the Queen's illicit?
I don't know if
He has said it over and over.
yeah, it's the lizard thing. I
Is
wonder.
the Queen illicit, Jamie?
I don't think she takes off her skin or anything like that. It's odd because I do think I think there's sort of a reality going on that we don't see with our eyes, and I think some people may, if you were to see them differently, for example, yeah, basically even like a They Live scenario where you put on the glasses and everyone's zombies. I feel like it would be like that. Like half the people would be zombies. The people sitting over us would be lizard vampire things, and part of me wonders though if these allegories are just all sort of like not meant to be literal.
Shall I tell you one allegory
Like,
I spotted the other day?
Well, let me just finish this thought. Sort of like. Maybe the people of the past, though, were also so aware of our minds and that we had this sort of reptilian side of our mind that that's just sort of how they put it forth and represented it because they wanted it to sort of be able to translate through time. I mean, I guess I'm sort of saying what Jordan Peterson said about, how he views scientific truth and religious truth as supposed to be not factual, but more a spiritual and parable and, the whole bit. So anyway, as you were going to say.
A good allegory. You must have seen the film The Exorcist.
Yeah.
I watched it the other day. I had to watch it again because it's been on my mind for a while. The story goes that that girl goes crazy and her mum basically takes her to a therapist, and then the shit gets real, basically.
Yeah.
They check for everything. Like, they do all the brain scans, they do all the drug tests, they do all the mental tests, and they don't know what's wrong. And then it gets crazy. What's the one thing they didn't check for? So they check her brain scan, they check her blood, make sure her blood's right. They check, they try and do like mental stuff, and they go, that's fine, she's a normal kid. Nothing wrong with her. What would be the first question you would ask her? You're a doctor, and this was going on. She's like masturbating for a crucifix, like stuff like this, and she's like grabbing people by the balls, and she's telling people to suck dicks in hell.
Yeah.
She's pouring her menstrual blood everywhere. What would you ask as a therapist?
I don't even know what that's. I think I would ask her, are you possessed?
No, who raped you?
What do you mean?
I think the story is that I think there's a hidden story there, that she's been raped by that creepy guy in the film. Her mum's got that creepy friend.
Uh-huh.
And the creepy friend is sexually abusing her.
And she's just sort of lashing out because she doesn't know how to...
And she's having that breakdown. And when you listen to her, she's got the demon voice at the beginning, and it's kind of manly and angry. It sounds the same as when that other her mum's boyfriend gets angry. So when you hear the voices coming out and the door's locked, it's not her screaming, it's him.
Yeah. Now, that's in the original? or the
The
remake?
original.
I'll
I
have to
think all the
rewatch it.
references. Yeah, all the references when she goes mental have all got sexual references. All her attacks are sexual.
Because I'll tell you what, you know,
She's a sexually violent girl.
if you look at movies like movies like that and Kubrick's work and stuff, movies did more things like that back in the day. It wasn't just about big explosions and an all-star cast. It was where you would have things seem one way, but it would actually be like about something else.
But it's kind of true. If you were the girl that was being abused like that, it would kind of be like The Exorcist for you.
Yeah.
As in being
especially if
possessed.
it's like your mother's
To
friend.
deal with it.
Yup.
Or have I got a warped mind when I...
I don't know. I'd have
I
to
think
watch
there's
the
a
movie
reference
again.
there that the sexual abuse of young children causes like psychological demon possession.
Yeah. No, it could definitely be there. I'd have to watch the movie to see that. I mean, a lot of people have
Yeah,
spoken
watch
on
out
that.
for the creepy guy. There's a creepy guy.
You know how
He's
they
not in
sort
it
of
much,
they've sort of put
but he
forth-
hangs around the house. And the mum even says, people are warning the mum, going, don't let that guy hang around your daughter. Come on. And she even has a go at him for getting too close to her. Megan. She's going, don't get so close to my daughter. And they have this massive fight. And you think, all right.
What was I just going to say?
It could be like that subtle hint, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. They have always talked about how, you know, it's corrupting innocence and sort of like stealing the soul of a child, and so I mean I could see it.
I thought you'd like that.
I'm gonna have to download that too and check that out. Basically put forth two of three movies already now, between The Devil's Knot and
No, we've done The Exorcist now. I've done
Yeah.
the spoiler. I didn't put a spoiler alert in.
basically. Yep. So what do you think how do you think things are gonna go for the Trump administration? You think things are going well? Have you seen, I can't believe, I was showing a friend this the other night. First I read in the headlines and it was all like Trump's unhinged press conference. Trump goes wild. Trump declares war on the media. And then I'm like, all right, now let me show you the press conference. And he's in there and he's just like, guys, I'm really hoping we can fix this and we can work together and improve our relationship. I feel like this has been really unfair. You know, even when I do things that should be all around good for everyone, you're attacking me. It's the tone of the articles. Can we just, like, I mean, he's pleading with them. And he even says, and I know what's going to happen, tomorrow you're going to say I was ranting and raving and I was going wild, but I'm not. I'm having fun. Are you guys having fun? I'm having fun. Like, and sure enough, that's what they did. And it's so crazy. He knows them that well.
It's no lie, I'm obviously loving Trump. I mean, the thing I loved this week was when we obviously had the hashtag fake news. Thanks to Trump, we've now got hashtag very fake news.
Yeah.
So I'm loving reading that everywhere. But the only thing is I'm not hearing Alex Jones, I don't know what to make of it, about is Trump seem to be gearing up for a war at the moment. Is that fair? Is that actually going on?
With who?
Iran.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
Not hearing much about that from the Trump supporters.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I've got, which I'm concerned about.
I don't know. I thought it was funny when I was seeing those articles about the Russian spy ship, because all I could think is like, why is everyone worried? I thought Russia was best friends with the administration. Like, shouldn't this be fine if what we're told is supposedly the truth?
Well, over my end of the pond, have you been seeing what's going on in Paris all week?
I heard they're building a wall around the Eiffel Tower.
No, it's worse than that. It's got way out of hand. They've had riots, like full-on proper riots.
Really?
For maybe 8 days in a row.
I didn't know that.
Just complete anarchy, yep. And it's meant to be because the police picked up this black kid, and somehow he got a police baton up his arse. Now that's basically the story, to be as fair as possible. Police are saying it's an accident.
Yeah.
And they're going to have a word with the police officer. So basically, the police have raped a kid, black kid. So that started the riots. But then you've got the immigrant problems, where it looks like the immigrants are going absolutely crazy and using it as an excuse.
Oh, yeah.
And Paris is just on fire every single night. But no one's talking about the immigrants. They're just saying, oh, they're like the press now protecting it, going, well, they shouldn't have raped the kid. And it's like, yeah, I think this riot's got way beyond that.
Yeah.
It's not just this police brutality
I'm
march.
trying to find pictures, because I guarantee you're probably right. You can probably tell just by looking at it.
It's a mixture of both. Like in the main Paris area, I think that is probably more genuine protest. But where you get remember you've got places in France, because they've got the colonies with Africa. Before, they always had like African communities, which are just African only. So when they're rioting, I don't think that's necessarily about the police brutality. And they've got immigrant areas and they're rioting. So I think, and in a couple of weeks, we've got the election in France.
Yeah.
It looks like Le Pen.
Yeah, it looks like she's going to win.
Well, and yes, someone does something. I'm scared in Europe. I'd much rather be in your shoes, mate, than be in America.
Yeah, thankfully we made it through what I feel would have been the ideal times to do it. Although, if I see these things about Obama supposedly like amassing an army to oppose Trump.
Yeah, I've seen that. But we keep hearing that, to be fair, though. I'm not saying you should disregard it or go, well, it's not important. Because it's a lot like Jade Helm. Like, we never really saw... I mean, Jade Helms, I guess, is just constantly in place now.
Yeah. Yep. The geospatial intelligence gathering.
The biometrics, yeah.
Yep. Well, I mean, that's probably, like how we were talking earlier about the implementation of, like, technologically advanced police forces. That's probably going to be a big part of that.
No, not really. They can just starve you out. That's what they're doing in Britain. That's why we don't do. We'll just starve you out. Like, all you got to do is just cut your electric for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Like, half of you will be wiped out in 3 days.
That's true. It's funny. I saw a friend of mine post the other day online being like, can this be true? And it was like, UN Agenda 21 depopulation plan. And I'm like, this is old at this point. I'm like, we're so far beyond this. You got Bill Gates giving talks about it, and
well, the Georgia Guidestones is the big one.
Yeah. Monuments stating similar, and it's all done for the earth. Yeah, I didn't know.
Do you think it's a conspiracy that Trump's just going to come out with a cure for cancer and go, look, we had it all along? And then America's going to be the leader of cancer cures and earn some good dollar.
Hopefully. I mean, I could definitely see that, because I think as far as a businessman, he wouldn't like certain things like this being suppressed. And I know he's not for the FDA. You have Robert De Niro trying to going on the vaccine thing, and he was asked by InfoWars if Trump's helping with this, does that improve Trump in the eyes of Robert De Niro? And De Niro was just like, Trump is not a concern of mine. I'm concerned about vaccine safety.
Yeah,
so,
that looks, yeah.
I mean, I think it's going in the right direction as far as the FDA and all that being looked at as a problem.
Well, I think Trump's very simple. It's just saying, look, I'm not saying don't do vaccines, but you've got to be accountable for these vaccines now.
Yeah.
They go wrong, you've got to be accountable for it like any other business. Seems pretty reasonable.
I think so. And that's the crazy thing. A lot of Trump's policies are completely reasonable. You know, I was thinking about propagating fake news. I was going to start making memes that would basically, like, put a picture of who is it, John Holdren or Eric Holdren, whoever Obama had as his science czar that wrote the book
John
saying...
Holdren, what, eco-science?
Yeah, saying abort babies up to the age 3. And I was going to say that it was Trump appointed him as science czar, and see if people would spread these, but basically do ones about the past presidents. Like, say that, you know, Trump's grandfather was Hitler's American financier, and he actually got his money from Nazi money, which is really true about George Bush. But, you know, it's like, all these things, it just sort of puts it in perspective. Like, you were worried about these things, but we've already been through it. Like, we literally had this shit, and you didn't know, but you think you have it now. This doesn't make sense.
I think there's a big thing going on at the moment where everyone's talking about the occult. And I think the Grand Awakening is kind of happening again, where all the occult means is it's just been hidden. And that's what words like research mean. You see these people research. And what is research? It's research. You're looking again.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, discovering. So that means again, it's uncovering, to discover. You're discovering things. And I think there is this kind of awakening where the occult, as in the heyday, you know, back thousands of years ago, people are starting to re-understand it again.
Yeah. I mean,
because secret
lot
society
is
getting big now. Like you see it on Instagram, it's not a secret anymore. It just seems. You're seeing this massive OTO thing in the pop industry, you know, Jay-Z and Beyonce. It's just everywhere now.
Yeah.
And I think everyone's really starting to look at these, going back. It's sort of moving even away from science in a way. I think that's why you're seeing such an insurgence in the flat Earth.
Yeah. It's very true. People are sort of digging back through everything and...
But the thing is where we're going wrong is we've got this mental sickness now where everyone's just bickering with each other.
Well, you know, and I was going to say that too. I've posted similar on Facebook, you know, arguments about, like, cultural appropriation and stuff. First of all, you never see someone like Jay-Z who actually makes art putting forth an argument about cultural appropriation because he wants to be known for his own art. But the fact that we have people arguing about who did what first, and, you know, who was the first this, and what color were they, it's only because society is stagnated that you're right, everyone's going back and looking at things again, which isn't always a bad thing, but I don't think there are many people looking forward, and let alone trying to innovate moving forward, which should be most important. But, I don't know, you got crazy...
What about UFOs?
2,000-year-old computers.
Do you believe in aliens and visitors? That's definitely one I'm not buying.
Yeah.
Or the reptilian.
I was going to say, again, I sort of think, if anything, it would just be things that occupy the same space as us that we're just not privy to seeing. I don't think they would be from some faraway planet. I think they would be from Earth, if anything. And I think as far as UFOs, it's generally just ships that are innovations we're not allowed to know about. That's my...
Yeah, I've never brought into it.
Huh?
I've never brought into it.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll tell you what, though. I've seen a UFO, and it was the scariest moments of my life. But it was just...
Go on.
It was just like I was driving around the corner with a friend, and I noticed his eyes get fixated in the upper left corner, and then I looked over, and it was this giant circular thing just hovering over the store in front of us. And, like, perspective-wise, it would be like standing in front of the Epcot ball at Disney World. It was huge. And then instantaneously, it just retracted and got smaller, did it a second time, and then it was gone. And we were both just sat in the parking lot of the next store over at the gas pump being like, what the fuck? What did I just see? I went home and cried because it just sort of... it put things in a weird perspective for me, where it's like you start to feel incredibly small in the grand scheme of things when you see something like that. But again,
what other paranormal stuff have you experienced?
I don't know, little things like radios turning on and stuff
Really?
like that. Yeah.
What, in your house?
Yeah. There's been stuff in my house, or I don't know, people thinking they're hearing someone walking behind them and stuff like that. All of my friends kind of know and joke about it, that my house is haunted. I mean,
my UFO experience was a bit weird. Shall I tell you what woke me up?
yeah,
Well, I reckon it'll be the same for you. I think a lot of people miss something when they wake up, and why they shouldn't bother trying to wake other people up. This is why you shouldn't bother. What really woke me up is I think something traumatic happens to you. And you might block it, you might try and block it, but for me, waking up should be when government is not your friend.
yeah,
And for me, it was when I was first arrested for weed.
yeah. I can see that.
Like, it was such a horrible thing, like being locked up in a cage, having handcuffs on, just for having basically a plant. And then the amount of stuff they threaten you with, like the stuff that could happen to you.
Yeah. Yeah,
And I think until someone actually has a consequence with authority,
where they butt up with
they
it.
just get along with their life. Yeah,
Well,
they
you're
just have
right, because, you
it's
know,
not until you actually have an issue with it yourself that I think that opens the door.
well,
I think
and
that's the door opener.
I see that even with people where it's like, you know, generally 90% of the people who advocate for a welfare state as if it's a charity state have never been on welfare. Like, you know, it's one of those things where you always do. You see people argue about the good of things that they're never personally involved with. And government is a big one of those things. Ben Shapiro puts it really well, where he just says government's a big shooting machine. Everything you say you want it to do, it's ultimately enforced at gunpoint. Because that's how people, you know, come face to face with the government, through the police.
Do you think it's the same with you, that it's your police encounters that might have really opened a door?
Yeah.
Because I know, when I got busted with drugs, like, people would laugh, go, oh, funny, you got busted. It's like, no, dude, it's actually traumatic. Like, it's actually fucked me up. It does fuck you up. It's horrible. Because, like, whenever my friends get busted, I actually give them a hug. So I actually think it is quite a traumatic experience. I don't know if it was for you, but it's not nice.
Yeah, no. I mean, and I would even say the cop that brought me to the station and all that, he was as nice as he could possibly be.
Yeah, that's the thing. That it's as friendly as you can be about it as well.
But it still
traumatic.
sucks to not know when you're going, where, and I mean, you really just no longer have any control over anything at that point.
Yeah.
So,
I think until someone, I know I sound like really negative, but I think that's where a lot of the truth movement's losing the argument. Maybe I do. It's where you're trying to wake people up who have just got through life, frankly, without any kind of experience themselves. And I think once the experience happens, they go, yeah, government's probably not on my side. That's when you can start talking about 9/11 and, you know, stuff like that.
I mean, I think I was, on some levels, I think I was open to that sort of, you know, thing. I think part of it, too, with me, you know, I can definitely say that as far as my views on the medical industrial complex and having Lyme disease as a young kid, because I would literally, at some points, it would take 8 full-grown adults to hold me down as a child to give me vaccines and stuff, because I would be just viciously fighting them. And I mean, I was in karate and stuff like that, so I kind of knew what I was doing. Because I would tell them they were making me worse. And I'd always had that. I would tell them, why do you hate getting shots? I'd be like, because I don't like what you're putting in me. And so when, you know, I got older and then I see all this stuff, oh, vaccines are bad for you, they have all this added shit that fucks you up, I'm just like, I knew that as a child. I knew it wasn't doing anything for me except exacerbating the fact that I was already fucked up.
Yeah, it's quite a horrible story.
Yep.
Sorry to hear, that sounds awful.
Yeah, it was. But I mean,
I've never had an illness.
You
really.
know,
the worst illness I've had is norovirus. I think.
The upside of it, though, is I can say, since I'm better at dealing with and managing it now, I spent so much time on, like, bed rest as a kid that it really has, like, programmed me against being lazy, because Well,
do you think that's probably also the things, like I said, that is trauma from government?
Yeah, it definitely is. Because, yeah, I mean, realistically, if a kid's really sick and has a chronic illness, you shouldn't be shooting them up with things that are going to antagonize their immune system. And vaccines have to in order to work correctly. So, I mean, part of it, I had got the whooping cough at one point. I had pneumonia and it turned into whooping cough because they were giving me vaccines for the shit when I was sick. But it's at least programmed me against being lazy because I equate, laying around and doing nothing with being sick. So, I mean, I've tried to make a positive out of it.
Well, we're going to have to talk about what are we going to do about these ghost boxes? Are we just going to leave it to viewers' imagination, or are we going to have a look?
We might have to look into them. I did see the one site was talking about there's an app you can download that supposedly does it. So
yeah.
I'll try that out first, and then we'll see if we have to invest.
When are you going to do it?
Huh? I'll try right after this. I mean, I have
try and do it properly.
Free time this week, so I can do plenty of it.
All right.
But I gotta get going because gotta have dinner soon.
All right, cool, man.
All right, we should try. Like I said, I have off from work this week, so we should try to do another one at some point during the week if you have time.
I'd love to do film reviews because I'm quite good at those.
Okay.
You pick 3, I'll pick 3.
All right.
All right.
I'll talk to you later, man.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.